Okay. All right. So my name is Caitlin Lozano, and I am going to be presenting on my take on an example of a literacy assessment um, that is going to be catered to TK, which is another way of saying transitional kindergarten. The reason why I've chosen TK is because I'm currently placed in a TK class at Kester Elementary School, and my mentor teacher is Miss Eileen Rockcliffe, who is amazing, by the way. And um, I'm going to be focusing on assessing word recognition, and the way I'm going to be doing that, oops, there we go, is by using a informal assessment through an intensive word practice activity. That we're going to be doing this every Friday during small group time as their exit ticket. I won't be calling it their exit ticket. It's just going to be the last thing that they're going to be doing, but it is going to be providing me feedback on whether my students um, have developed a new word that they've recognized, or if we still need to be working on that. An intensive word practice approach is where you intensively practice a particular word by like hearing it, recognizing it in print form, or tracing it. For example, a lot of times teachers use this activity and will have their students underline their particular new word. And in my case, I'm just going to have them circle their new sight word, their new sight vocabulary word, um, and we'll be doing this every week um, on Fridays. So the strengths of this particular assessment is that it provides instant feedback on whether my students can again recognize their new word on their own, or if they can't, and we need to go over it. Another strength is that it is a low stakes activity because it is not a summative assessment, which is a test. So there's no test anxiety involved, which means that more students are more likely to participate. And what's really cool about this intensive word activity is that it also emphasizes listening skills and following directions, which is really important for young students that are just learning what it means to be in school. And it can be used with a group, which in my case, in my particular example, it will be. Um, and which means that there's going to be multiple examples other than the teacher, and allows for discussion, and opens up the opportunity to practice the talk out loud approach, which is a nice scaffold for low students and high achieving students, because there are multiple examples. And then one of the weaknesses of this assessment is that it's not a summative assessment, meaning it's not a test of the whole unit itself. It's just an assessment of their knowledge that day. And so, because of that, I would have to do this activity weekly, but definitely, or daily, but definitely more than once. And which can take time away from my lesson, your lesson, if you decide to do this as well. Um, but and also because it's a low stakes activity, and which means that it lacks a reward, students that are incentivized by rewards or getting a good grade aren't going to be while doing this assessment, which means that they might not participate. Um, and so, anyways, my word recognition assessment of using intensive word practice approach would look like this. So it's going to be the Itsy Bitsy Spider, and we'll begin the small groups discussion with this picture, but also a video of the Itsy Bitsy Spider song for them to relate. And then at the end of the day, their last slide that they're going to see is going to be this, and this is going to be my assessment. And um, because it's now related to them, they're going to be interested, and what they need to be doing is, again, they need to draw a circle around the. So they have to recognize the word the, and also recognize the letters THE, and then annotate it themselves. And what's really cool about this assessment is that, especially when doing it through Zoom, with distance learning, if you do it through Zoom, you can use open up the annotation option, and then they can use their own pen. Um, that will become an option, and um, on their computer, wherever they are, and they'll be able to physically in real time circle the letter THE and find the word THE and circle it. And so you can see that in real time, and so can the other students. And underneath their little circle, which whatever color they choose, will be their name. And so again, like the first circle that's already shown as an example right now is going to be the model of my model, or the instructor's model, and then you'll open it up to the class and or the small group, and then you'll be able to see them do it themselves and immediately get feedback of who's gotten it real quick, and who gets it after watching it a little bit or not at all, based on their participation. So administrating this assessment. This assessment assesses both the individual and the group. And again, the scaffolds that are provided, which I think are pretty unique to this example, is that there are going to be multiple models. And this works whether you're in the classroom using a huge yellow notepad, right? And then they're physically taking a marker in their hand and circling it, or if you're using a smart whiteboard and they're using the smart whiteboard pen, or if you're doing it through Zoom, no matter what, they're still getting the multiple models of a teacher and a student and their classmates, recognizing the word and modeling the correct behavior that I want from them, regardless if there's a language barrier in regards to not understanding directions or not yet recognizing the words because they don't have the letter vocabulary yet. And as I said before, this is great for distance learning because via Zoom, you can have an annotation option where they'll take the pen and circle the words in real time on your screen. And so rating this assessment, for me, I think it's an excellent assessment example and an excellent thing to use. And you can use it doesn't have to be with TK or just primary. You can change the scaffolds and you can build on so that it can work with older kids as well. Again, this is great for low achieving and ESL students because there's multiple opportunities for different models and different approaches that students will be able to show, and for the ESL and low achieving students to see. And so this is my example of a distance learning presentation or of my activity assessment. So the first slide would be, again, like I said, the video. We would watch the video, and then pointer, we would watch the video. I would click on this, we'd watch the video, we would sing to the song, and then we come back to this slide, and then we would sing the song while reading it. And noticing the rhymes and the patterns that is happening. And as 3, 4 year olds, will recognize this song and this nursery rhyme right away, and um, like quickly get excited about it. So because of that, they're going to be excited about the whole lesson. And then we go into what I had already mentioned was my VACT instructional approach, which is using visual, auditory, kinetic, and tactile practices or activities, so that they're able to remember the word in multiple ways using all of their sensories, so that they can generalize it. And so the first slide that I would show would be, here's our word of the day, word of the week, and then say the. And so they'd be saying the word the, and at the same time be hearing the word the. And then the second slide would be, okay, let's trace it. And this can be done in the classroom, but also can be done through distance learning, because they can take their hand, their pointy finger, and physically trace the word. And then afterwards we clap, and so on and so forth. So the next slide would be sign language, and they'd be using their hands. So now it's tactile and kinetic at the same time. And then let's point to the letters. So we're using our visual. And then let's count the letters. And then the last 2 slides would be getting ready and setting up for my assessment, which is the word intensive practice activity, by having the word in a sentence and also underlining it, where my examples are, it's underlined, but I'm going to ask them to circle it, which will be a little bit different. And so but they're going to be singing it in a sentence. And then over here on my last slide is they're going to sing it. So they're going to hear it, they're going to say it, and not only are they going to say the word as a whole and hear it as the word as a whole, but they're going to say the letters. And then the last thing is the assessment. And again, I'm modeling it, and then the students are allowed to participate, and then everyone gets to see it. And that is my literacy assessment, that's focused on word recognition, using an informal approach of a intensive word practice. I hope you enjoyed it and have a lovely day. Thank you for listening.